Now, there are lots of different spices that we use today. Spices have become increasingly popular, and one of the things I like to see is that people are realising that they're not just about spicy heat. They're about a whole world of flavours. And a few that I think that chefs could be getting more benefit from are some of the ones I want to mention to you today. One of them is ajuwan seed. Now, ajuwan seed is a seed that comes from an annual plant. It has a flavour profile that is very similar, believe it or not, to the herb thyme. And that's because it contains the volatile oil thymol that you also find in the herb thyme. So here we have a seed spice which has a little bit of a peppery note to it. It has this beautiful thyme-like flavour, and because it's a seed spice with a very strong volatile oil, it also withstands the heat of cooking very effectively. It is traditionally used in Indian cooking with carbohydrates. You'll find it in breads, it'll be in samosas and pakoras, you'll even find it in naan breads. It is a really beautiful flavour. It's also used quite a bit in Moroccan cooking, and if you are making something like a berbere chicken, which has a lovely combination of coriander seed, a little bit of nutmeg, a little bit of chili, and also ajuwan seeds, you get this really unusual flavour profile coming through. So ajuwan seeds, definitely something to start experimenting with. The other one that I like to see people using is one of the Australian native herbs and spices. And when it comes to Australian native herbs and spices, I believe we need to look at them as flavours within their own right that we can incorporate into a wide range of dishes. We don't need to think of them just as for bush tucker, because they do have flavours that complement other food, just like all sorts of other spices that come from different countries, but we don't get overly obsessed about where they come from. This particular one is called Eucalyptus oleander and is commonly referred to as strawberry gum. This Eucalyptus oleander goes beautiful with anything with berries. It's when I'm making pancakes for the grandchildren, and I try to encourage them, instead of having lots of sugar on their pancakes, to have fresh fruit and yogurt. And I put Eucalyptus oleander in the pancake batter, and it gives it a beautiful flavour profile. It's lovely, even a little bit sprinkled over rock melon is delicious. And so you think of it as anything to do with fruits, and in particular with berry fruits. Like most Australian native flavours, you use them fairly sparingly. So you don't want to use too much, because the flavours are quite strong, but they are beautiful. The other one, now this guy's a bit of a weird fella. This is one that I was only able to get fairly recently from West Africa. Boys at Aquis let it come into the country, which was very good. And this one is called Selim Pepper. And you'll notice that the pod is quite unusual looking. It has little lumps in it, so you can see there's little seeds in it. But in this case, you actually use the whole pod. You don't take the seeds out. You can crush the pod in a mortar and pestle and then add it ground to a dish, or you can add the whole Selim pepper and then take it out at the end of cooking. When you smell it, it's got an aroma probably a bit like Vicks Vapor Rub. But when it's combined with other spices and you make something like a West African stew, a slow cook, beef stew, with the Selim pepper, a little bit of standard black pepper, combine that with maybe a little bit of juniper, and slow cooked, gives an absolutely beautiful flavour. And so the message is that when you come across something like this that is quite unusual, what you really need to do is experiment in lots of different ways. And even on the first smelling of something that seems quite unusual, it is often surprising how, when it's combined with other flavours, how beautifully it will work. So my message to everyone, whether it's professional chefs or whether it's household cooks, the main thing is to gain an understanding for the spice flavours that you're using, how they balance with each other, and then experiment. And that's where all the fun comes in.
Brought to you by Cookers, the future of cooking oils.